You've heard the headlines. Gen Z doesn't want to work. Gen Z needs constant praise. Gen Z quits too easily. That story misses what's really going on. Look at the data. Gen Z isn't hard to lead. They're the first cohort whose expectations align with how modern work actually functions. I'm Sam, and this is Uncommon Sense Lab, translating workplace psychology into clear, practical frameworks you can use. Let's break it down. A global study from Deloitte found Gen Z is the most values-driven, most feedback-oriented, and least tolerant of low psychological safety environments. Psychological safety simply means people feel safe speaking up, asking questions, and admitting mistakes, without fear of embarrassment or punishment. This isn't because they're fragile. It's because they grew up with transparency, instant feedback loops, and constant access to information. Older generations were taught to tolerate opacity. Gen Z expects clarity. A manager we worked with, let's call him Eric, led a team across generations. His Gen X and millennial employees rarely asked for clarity. His Gen Z hire asked, "Why are we doing this? What does good look like? How will we measure this?" Eric saw it as neediness, but she was actually doing something else, reducing ambiguity. Most leaders misinterpret this. Silence isn't confidence. Questions signal performance. Research shows high performers seek clarity early to move fast later. Most leaders misread this. Gen Z is the least tolerant of bad work design, and workplace psychology backs that up. The job characteristics model says engagement comes from 5 elements: skill variety, task identity, task significance, autonomy, and feedback. Gen Z grew up with fast cycles of all 5. Apps, platforms, school systems, and games showed progress, gave feedback, and explained the why. So when a workplace removes those elements, they don't see it as paying dues, they see dysfunction. Accurately, Gen Z doesn't need micromanagement, they need precision. Micromanagement is, let me check your work every hour. Precision is, here's the success criteria, here's how we'll measure it, here's when I'll check in. Gen Z performs best when expectations are explicit, not implied. Older generations were raised to infer expectations. This isn't entitlement, it's alignment. Millennials assumed no news was good news. Gen Z grew up where silence was information. If a manager goes quiet for 2 weeks, their brain fills in the gaps with threat detection. This isn't immaturity, it's conditioning. Research shows uncertainty is more stressful than clear bad news. Gen Z is simply more aware of that. Gen Z doesn't need rapid promotion. They need skill growth, mentorship, challenge, and stretch assignments. When Gen Z leaves, it's rarely because they didn't get a title. It's because nothing is being learned. Research shows perceived growth trajectory strongly predicts early career retention. Mentorship, regular feedback, and visible progress signal that trajectory more than titles or time in seat. If growth is visible, they stay. If growth disappears, so do they. Design roles with stretch, pair them with coaches, and track skill gains out loud. Make learning safe in public. Results follow. The job is growth. The strategy is trust. Gen Z doesn't trust performative leadership. They trust leaders who admit what they don't know, explain the why, share decision criteria, and narrate priorities, then follow through. Psychological safety predicts performance across generations. Gen Z is simply the first to expect it, instead of hoping for it. Here's the summary. Define outcomes clearly. Give autonomy with checkpoints. Provide fast, honest feedback loops. Show your reasoning. Invest in learning and growth. This isn't a Gen Z playbook. It's a modern leadership playbook. Gen Z is just the first to demand it. If you want a team that performs, stays engaged, and cares about the work, start leading the way. The future already works. I'm Sam with Uncommon Sense Lab. See you next time.